Robbie Williams Rewind.
Welcome to Robbie Williams Rewind. We are the champions. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lucy.
And along with help from special guest fans, we take you on an in-depth rewind through the solo career of multi-award-winning singer, songwriter and entertainer Robbie Williams.
Before we get going with Robbie from Canada, we thought we'd give a little update to the reception we've had on the Robbie Williams interview.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. Obviously, it's been one of our fastest listened to, highest growth episodes that we've had. Thank you for all of your feedback. I mean, it's hard to keep a track of, but we're trying to read everything that's coming through and all of your feedback and thank you notes. We really, really appreciate it. We're glad that you're loving it as much as obviously we love doing it. And we hope that we did you a bit of a good service by asking some of those questions that the fans want to know. But yeah, it's been received very well, hasn't it, Lucy?
Yeah. We reached number 18 in the Great Britain Apple Music podcast chart, which is very high for us.
Yes, yeah.
And in the music commentary podcast charts, we were number 1 in Israel, Luxembourg, Norway and Ireland. And we got to number 4 in Great Britain and Australia as well. So that's gone very well. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, the numbers have just been soaring. So thank you for everyone that's been listening and, existing and new listeners. So if you're new, yeah, thank you for listening. And hopefully you can enjoy some of the others as well and dig back into a bit of the archives of what Robbie's done over his solo career.
Even if you just listen to the interviews that we've done with people that he's worked with, they're very interesting as well.
No, you'd have to listen to all of it. We talk about.
Well, I know it's a big commitment. There's a lot of hours worth.
You know, you can listen as you're cleaning the house or in the car or going out for a walk. It's good. It's a good companion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, thank you, everyone. We've even hit the news. It seems
that's a bit freaky.
Lucy, do you want to give us a bit of a summary of some of the news articles that we've been in?
Yeah, I guess the first one I think was Metro, and they just wrote a very nice piece. Fair quotes, nothing outrageous, about him saying, that he was a bit nervous about the light that might shine on him after the film and Netflix documentaries come out. And then, of course, The Sun picked it up and then said that he is building a hotel in Dubai, but that's not what he said. He said,
I do buy.
He said, it may be when we said Dubai, he said maybe, but that's The Sun for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, it seems to have appeared in other newspapers or copying. They seem to just copy each other's print word for word, and it's been in the Daily Mail and the Evening Standard. And
I think the positive thing about it is that there's nothing really nasty in it. They picked up on some bits of the interview, out of a 2-hour interview, they picked up on a couple of bits. It's given Rob publicity and it gives us a bit of publicity. So hopefully if it's reached a few more people who have maybe thought, oh, I might have a listen to that. So yeah, hopefully it's helped to do that as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's all good. It's been very, very nice, and we appreciate everyone's kind thank yous and every nice word that people have said to us.
Yeah, and it makes it all worthwhile when we hear you hear your feedback, and we know that you're enjoying it as well, because we do put majority of our lives when I'm not working or when Lucy's not working into this podcast. We haven't watched TV for about the past 15 months properly, and it's pretty much all we do. So it's nice to hear that you're enjoying it.
Yes. So thank you, everyone, and hopefully you'll all carry on listening to our other episodes.
Yeah, lots more special guests coming up.
And here is our recording with Robbie from Canada, which we did, as I said, a few days before we spoke to Robbie Williams.
Yeah, enjoy.
Today we're not rewinding very far, as we're covering Robbie's latest album, 25. We've nearly caught up with Robbie's full back catalogue, which is pretty crazy.
It is. After a year of doing it.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about CD1 in this episode, and then CD2 and the tour in the next episode. And our special guest fan today is Robbie from Canada.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So whereabouts in Canada are you from?
I'm from London, Ontario. So, yes, a couple hours from Toronto, a couple hours from Detroit. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you become a Robbie fan?
Well, that's mostly from my dad. I do specifically remember him having Take That albums.
Oh.
Because although, he's a guy that loves Metallica, he also loved boy bands. So,
Oh, wow.
so he definitely had Take That. And then my real introduction to Robbie Williams himself was when the compilation The Ego Has Landed came out in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a long time, that I think until much later, that was the only way you could get those songs. I didn't have, neither of us had Life Through a Lens or I've Been Expecting You till I went to the UK and found them.
Ah.
Right.
Yeah. So he had that, and I had just ripped it onto an MP3 player back in the day. It was an MP3 player with little discs. People probably have no idea what this even is anymore. But I went on
the mini disc thing?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Mini disc, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a mini disc with just that on it, and I remember I took it on a vacation and just listened to it over and over and over. And yeah, because here, I would say if you asked most people, at least around here, this part of Canada, they probably won't know Robbie Williams by name, but they'll know Millennium, they'll know Rock DJ, they'll know Feel, those three for sure. So he has had some success here, but not like over there, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I think The Ego Has Landed went gold in Canada, as far as I remember.
So
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
So have you got a favourite song or album?
Both, absolutely. And they don't, I was thinking about this when I was listening to this album to prepare, that they don't overlap. It's not like my favorite song is from my favorite album.
Right.
So my favorite album is definitely Escapology.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic album. I could just listen to it. I could listen to it every day. No problem, But No Regrets certainly would be my favorite song.
It's a classic.
Yes, for some reason, the karaoke bar here had Robbie Williams in their book. And so I'd done No Regrets. I'd done Millennium. I did Angels once. And as soon as I got up there, I thought, oh, no. And the DJ guy goes, what? And I go, oh, Jessica Simpson just covered this. People are going to think I'm singing Jessica Simpson. Yeah. So, but No Regrets was always a go-to for me.
Was the Jessica Simpson Angels quite a big hit then?
I did hear it a lot, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
We didn't hear it so much over here, did we?
I don't think I've ever heard it over here.
No.
Yeah.
So have you seen Robbie live?
Unfortunately, no.
No? Oh, God.
Since both me and my dad are a big fan, my mom actually mentioned when I was talking about your podcast that for years she was looking all the time. Where is he touring? When is he going to be close enough? And he never, the closest he's been since, in all this time, essentially is the Vegas shows.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know about it in time. And
oh, no.
Yeah. I was going to ask you guys about that, though. How did you find that show? Because when I looked up set lists, for me, because I've never seen him, I would want a greatest hits show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it seemed like he did a lot of covers.
Yeah, there were a lot of covers. Yeah. I know he did say that if he was going to play it again, he would do less covers.
Yeah.
Because he said, I hear you, to the Americans that were saying that they didn't want all covers. But I don't know, it was still a really good show.
Yeah.
It's very good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we might have said it on the Vegas episode. I have a feeling that he felt as though he had to put recognizable songs into the set.
For the Americans that didn't know him.
I think I think the people that just walked into the show that were in Vegas, or people that just decided to see him, were actually in the minority, like people that just did it on the off chance. I think a lot of people went very purposefully to see him. But I reckon that there was a bit of him that wanted to appeal to the masses.
Yeah.
Just in case, But I think the show would have gone down very well as greatest hits.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
Yeah, like, I remember my sister saying to me one day when she kind of dove into his catalog that it was amazing to her because it was like, as an adult, I'm just figuring out who Michael Jackson is. Because, hit after hit, this whole catalog of hits that, are new to her. Because, especially here, you're going to know the odd song, but not a whole lot. I guess Angels was big here too. I should have added that to my list of songs people would know here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you explain what Robbie means to you?
Well, that is a difficult question. Certainly always, since, 2001, probably. It's been my top 5 favorite artists or bands. A lot of the songs mean a lot to me, like especially stuff from, I guess that's kind of a funny thing to say, especially songs from XXV, because there's a lot on there that you might think, like Coming Down or something. But like Nan's song, just like, it chokes me up because I was so close with my Nana. That song means a lot to me. No Regrets really gets me. A lot of these songs got to me more when I didn't have a fiance, when I was a single man, things not working out quite the way I wanted. But so his music hits me in a certain way,
right?
That just means a lot to me through my life. Certain songs certainly take me back to a specific place and time.
Yeah. So, did you always have to just go and buy his albums in the shop, were they readily available? Yeah,
like those first 2 albums, they weren't, but The Ego Has Landed was certainly readily available. And after Escapology, I was pretty much buying the albums. When before that, my dad would buy them and I would just listen to them. He definitely had Sing When You're Winning. I don't think he bought Swing When You're Winning, but that's just because that's not quite his style,
Yeah.
But it definitely was available because we bought it for my grandmother. She loved it. They were all available. I think after Escapology, I was just buying them on his website, so they would come to the house. But
right.
They were certainly well available. Like, he's not a complete unknown here, of course. Like, not like in America. He's like, I would always see his videos on, I guess at MTV, we had Much Music. And there was a second channel called Much More Music, which was more like for adults rather than like teens and young adults. And his videos would always be on there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds as though you've got a bit of a family fandom going on there. Multiple generations of Robbie fans.
Yeah, a little bit. Even like my fiance, she's definitely knew Millennium. Definitely knew Rock DJ, although she's she's about 5 years younger than me, so the Rock DJ video really freaked her out when she was younger. And when I was listening to it the other day in the car, she thought she knew Tripping, which I thought was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm.
Does she like him now?
Yeah, certainly. Cool. Yeah, she definitely never minds me putting them on, that's for sure. So.
That's good. So have you got a favourite video?
See, I was never like a big video guy where I was really into the videos. I gotta think of it. Probably Advertising Space. There we go.
Oh yeah,
I got there. Advertising Space would be my favorite video.
When he's Elvis in the in the hotel room or the little guest house, and then he's walking around. Where was it filmed? Is it Blackpool? Blackpool,
I'm
UK.
Also quite an Elvis guy, so so it certainly appeals to me. But yes, I do remember the first time when I bought that album. I was driving with, just driving with some friends, just because we were still, I was under 20 anyway. So we were driving around, and when that song came on, everybody was talking, but it was as if nobody was talking, because that's all I was hearing. It definitely like hit me right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could ask Robbie one question or say one thing to him, what would it be?
Now I'm thinking, like, what song do I want to know what it's about? See, I might kind of want to know how he felt going into his solo career. Like, did he feel like it was going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Because, when I describe Robbie Williams to people that don't know who he is, I'd say, because, here people know all the American boy bands. So I'd say, like, that would be like if Joey Fatone was the big star and not Justin Timberlake. Or even like the other guy, because, some of my dad's Take That albums don't even have Robbie Williams' name on it. Like he's in the pictures, but his name's not even listed.
Yeah.
So like it's just so him being a big star is so different than most boy bands. I'd be curious, like, if he felt going into it that like, did he have the confidence to know this is going to work? I'm going to be the star. Screw all these guys,
Yeah.
Or if he questioned it, Now, how would I word that to not insult him? I don't know. I certainly wouldn't want to do that, but or maybe because I have brought up advertising space, maybe ask him a little bit about the writing of that song and what he's really talking about. Because some of the lyrics, I'm like, what does he mean there? So.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he says it's kind of about Elvis, but it's also about him.
Yeah.
It?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of it really sounds like it's about Elvis, but some of it, I'm like, okay, so what is he talking about here? So that would probably be my go-to. I always want to know what songs they're about, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about 25.
Okay.
Or XXV.
Yeah.
Robbie's third greatest hits compilation was released on the 9th of September 2022, just 4 months ago. The Queen died the day before the album came out, so there was absolutely no promotion for the album in the UK for its first 11 days of release until after the Queen's funeral. Not even so much as a social media post.
And yet, Robbie still achieved his 14th UK #1 album, meaning he is now the solo artist with the most UK #1s. Only the Beatles have more with 15. In the midweek chart, Music Week reported that Rob had sold 36,391 copies up to that point, 97% of which were physical, and that he was outselling the rest of the top 10 combined. Rob said, "Thank you to everyone who supported the album, everyone who's bought it, streamed it, downloaded it. I'm so pleased that it's gone to #1. And whilst it feels strange to be receiving an award during these sombre times, I wanted to thank you all for your support and dedicate this to the fans, who I never take for granted. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much." 25 has now been certified silver in the UK.
Yeah. Asked by German broadcaster WDR why he said he can't keep up with the stars like Taylor Swift, Rob replied, "My only advantage over my dear colleagues is that my audience does not stream, but buys physical recordings, and I am very grateful to them for that. In this way, I am still competitive. In order to see where I am right now, I have to compete with people from the 90s, with the competition of that time, and not so much with current superstars. I consider myself very, very happy that I still know the old music business, that I was one of the last to experience what it meant to be a real pop star and to feel like a king. I am grateful for that."
25 was also #1 in the Netherlands and Ireland, 2 in Australia, 3 in Austria, Belgium and Germany, 4 in Switzerland, 5 in Portugal, 10 in Spain, 11 in France, 12 in Hungary and Poland, and 13 in Italy. The album was produced by Guy and Richard Flack. Describing 25, Rob said, "My most successful songs in the charts have been reorchestrated It's a very grown-up album with very talented people making my songs sound like they mean something.
Guy came up with the idea of reimagining the hits with an orchestra. They were reorchestrated by Jules Buckley, Steve Sidwell and Guy and played by the Dutch Metropole Orkest. Jules is an English conductor, composer and arranger. He started playing trumpet at the age of 9, went on to study trumpet at the Guildhall School of Music before changing to classical composition. In 2008, he became principal guest conductor of the Metropole Orkest, a jazz and eclectic music orchestra, then chief conductor from 2013. And you should all know Steve Sidwell, as we interviewed him a few months ago. Rob told the BBC, "The orchestra gives these frequencies that are angelic and godlike, and it gives import to what could otherwise be throwaway pop records."
The cover features Rob naked in Rodin's The Thinker pose.
Does it?
Shut up, you know that. He said, "I'd like to say it was my idea, but it was Tom Hinkston who designed a lot of my album covers. As a pop star, you have to be on the cover of your record because your face sells that stuff. I find that so annoying and so boring. I know my face. But I found this idea interesting and a bit weird. It's as controversial as you can be these days without getting in trouble. Middle-aged, naked man on the sleeve of his own album. There's still a little bit of cheeky in there. There's still a nod and a wink. Also mixed with something serious with Rodin's Thinker. I'm into my art these days, so a bit of a nod, a bit of a wink, and a little bit of art and a bit of nakedness. I like the end result. It was a cold day and there were at least 20 strangers standing in front of me, but I'm so used to my job being so surreal that it was just another surreal day. I don't have a problem with being naked. I just have a problem with the way I look naked. What you see on the cover is a computer-generated version of the person who looks a bit like me."
Rob kept stating in interviews that it was actually his 27th year as a solo artist. It's been 27 years since he left Take That, and that the album was delayed 2 years due to COVID. Manager Tim Clark actually said in a 2019 Music Week interview, plans are already underway to celebrate his 25th year as a solo artist in 2021. So it was only a year delayed. So they originally planned to mark 25 years since freedom in 1996.
Yeah. Rob told John Cairns, "In a room you go, 25 years, we should do 25 songs. Then you have to be in a vocal booth to record 25 songs. I've never recorded 25 songs in a row. And as humans, do you want to listen to your own voice? The overarching feeling of actually recording the album, not the product when it arrives, I'm glad that exists. Recording it was just a pain in the arse. I'm re-recording these songs that have meant a lot to a lot of people. I'm revisiting diaries from the past all of the time, just trying to not sing out of key, so Guy says we can move on to the next song."
Rob also said, "I think it's a nice idea to revisit the old songs with the distance of years or decades and give them a bit more gravitas, a bit more weight by reworking them. For someone like me who is constantly running on the hamster wheel, always has the next goal in mind and still wants to achieve something in my career, it's good to see that I was better before than I thought at the time. I look at my old songs with more love. It's tough being a perfectionist who sees everything he does as negative and inadequate. So it's a relief to be able to devote myself to these songs today and admire them instead of hating and despising them."
Rob also said, "I hope there'll be another record called L, if I'm still knocking about. I think I could make it to then." Let's hope we get a 50th anniversary. How old will he be then? God knows. It's 25 years' time.
He's 40.
Like 74 or something? It'd be a bit crazy.
Well, you know.
Retro Pop magazine said, "While many orchestral albums drastically reinterpret the material, Robbie's originals fare well as orchestral recordings and maintain the essence of the originals, and what stands out most of all is his powerful vocal on each track, which after 3 decades in the industry remain in fine form."
The Daily Telegraph said, "Millennium, which was already based on John Barry's theme to the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, gets even more Bondy with added stabby horns. No Regrets gets the full 007 treatment with new funky guitars. In fact, it may here be exposed as the greatest Bond theme that never was. Sheryl Crow's Tomorrow Never Dies and Garbage's The World Is Not Enough were the forgettable themes either side of its release in 1998. Did producers miss a trick by overlooking Williams? At 48, Williams remains one of our greatest showmen and a fantastic live act. This doesn't stop this self-covers album from feeling a bit like a stopgap. Still, 25 is a big, bold and brassy reminder of Williams's stonking back catalogue. Fans will lap it up. Give him the legend slot at Glastonbury immediately.
Metro newspaper ran a poll to find Rob's most popular album, excluding the Under the Radars. Escapology won with 33% of the vote. Sing When You're Winning came second with 15%. I've Been Expecting You was third with 11%. Intensive Care was fourth with 9%. And Life Through a Lens came fifth with 7%. I just thought that was interesting.
Robbie's happy to hear that result about Escapology.
Yeah. And also you liked the comment about no regrets as well, didn't you?
Yes. I was actually going to mention that. That reminded me that around the time of Escapology, a friend of mine, Andrew, we were just like, we were the music friends, right? So we always talked about music. And I remember him mentioning to me several times that before Daniel Craig got cast, he thought they should cast Robbie Williams as Bond and have him do the music. And that's how he would break in America. But hey,
I don't think that the British public would take him seriously.
No.
No.
I would have been happy to see
They
it.
would just look at him as I'd love it, but they would just look at him as like a member of Take That, don't they?
Yeah.
Not a serious actor.
He's actually a very, very good actor. I think he could do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But probably too typecast
Yeah.
into what he's done before.
So what did you think of it being a greatest hits album coming out, Robbie?
Like for the album as a whole?
Yeah, like when you heard he's going to release another greatest hits.
It wasn't like disappointing because I always enjoy the orchestral reworking type albums. So I was excited to hear it. Listening to the album as a whole, I do really enjoy it. But as you kind of mentioned, he didn't really rework them all that much for a lot of them. So although a lot of them are just, to me, they're just as good as they feel like the original. So they're not disappointing, except for one particular song that he did that I don't really enjoy. So
I'm sure we'll get to that.
But besides Millennium and No Regrets that do feel a bit different, the rest of them, I don't know if I'd go back to these particular versions all that often.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a loaded question asking Robbie, what did you think about a greatest hits album? As you know, there's a bit of like, greatest
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was appropriate for his management because he talks about it, that his management told him that you had to mark the anniversary, and he was like, "Oh, do I?" And then I think he came round to the idea. So I think it was appropriate for them to influence him and guide him into doing this.
Yeah, probably.
And although we always want new music, I know we do.
That's the only reason.
I think it was a very smart move to do an orchestral, arrangement of his greatest hits. And, we meet a lot of fans who are like, oh, another greatest hits. But yeah, it is, the more I've listened to it, the more it's grown on me. Sometimes I'm in conflict a little bit about, well, hang on a minute, am I ever going to remember what the original's like? But of course I do.
Yeah.
It's ingrained into my soul. So I'm not going to ever forget like the original of, Let Me Entertain You or whatever.
Yeah.
Am I? But
No.
yeah. So I think it was a smart move.
Yeah.
And I'm sure more new music will be on the way. We did get some more new music from Lufthouse.
Yeah, and there are a few
little
new
bit
songs
different,
on it as well.
There are a few new songs there, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think, Lucy?
Well, I was disappointed that we were getting a greatest hits because I wanted a new studio album. But actually, it is a very nice collection and I like what they've done with the songs. And the tour that goes with it has been amazing. So,
Yeah.
it's been okay, actually. And also, Rob's voice still sounds great on all these songs that are like 20, 25 years old. you know, he's resung them, and it's nice to have sort of a maturer version of them with his maturer kind of voice. But my one annoyance is that even with the deluxe version, there's no lyrics, and it says go to like robbieWilliams.com/XXV/credits or something.
Yeah.
So you go to that link and then you click onto his website, and then it says it's got the credits for the album on there, like who wrote what and all of that.
Yeah.
And at the bottom it says for lyrics, click here. So you click here and it takes you to genius.com, which isn't even Robbie's website. Then on genius.com, it's got the lyrics to all of the old songs, but not for the new songs. And it says under the new songs, these songs are yet to be released. Please check back later. And it's like, hello, it's been out, what? 4 months and we still haven't got the lyrics on there? Ooh. What is going on? So yes, that needs to be fixed. And normally on genius.com, you can add a song yourself as a user of the website and upload the lyrics and things.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you can't do it on those because it says that the songs haven't been released and there's like nothing. Anyway, it's annoying me. Oof. So there you go.
So I didn't even realize the lyrics weren't in there because I don't think I even really realized when I ordered it that it was going to be signed when it came. but I opened it up and I thought, oh my God, this is signed. So I haven't even opened it. I'm leaving it pristine. And so I was streaming the album, but I did pay for it physically. So I guess he'll still be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what he fails to mention or understand in his quote. His fans do stream the music, but they also buy the physical copy. I think that's exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So yeah, if we move on to the songs, they were basically all performed by the Metropole Orchestra, unless we say otherwise. And we won't go into the usual detail about each song, like who wrote them and the background and stuff, because obviously we've covered all of that in previous episodes.
We've done that, apart from some of the new ones.
But, you know, where Robbie Williams has said something new about a song, about the new version, then we'll obviously talk about that.
Yeah, so starting with Let Me Entertain You.
Mm-hmm.
The new orchestration was by Steve Sidwell. This was not performed by the Metropole, but by a range of other musicians, including Guy. Who wants to go first? Lucy, do you want to go first on Let Me Entertain You?
Yeah, if you want.
What do you think?
Well, it still sounds big. You know, it's still really like a big opener. But it doesn't feel like a rock song anymore, does it? You know, because it's like got such a rock vibe, this song. It's less rock. They've lost the intro. It's kind of straight into the famous piano melody.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's singing it in a slightly lower key.
I think so.
But I don't think you can beat the drama and the massive drums and like the funky guitars that feature on the original for this song, you know, for me. But it does stick fairly close to it, the original. But yeah, it just hasn't got that bigness, the original rawness about it that I like. It's kind of like, it sounds like it's played live when he has his full band, when he's got the Atlantic horns and his backing singers. It sounds a bit more like that, I'd say.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like the concert sort of on tour sort of type version.
Yeah,
they add a few more flourishes and bits and pieces to the live version, don't they? Actually, yeah, you're right.
So it sort of sounds like that rather than the original recording.
Yeah.
Robbie, what do you think of Let Me Entertain You?
I mean, I'm always gonna like Let Me Entertain You. This is another one I did in karaoke, actually. I probably shouldn't have with how many drinks I'd had that night. I don't think I kept up very well, but yeah, it was still fun. Like this is one that I was kind of thinking of when I said like it keeps the vibe to me. It's like it's just as good to me in a way, but it's not different enough that I'd probably go back to this version very often. But I'm always going to love this song. So even though it doesn't quite have the rock feel that the original one did, which certainly I'm more of a rock guy, so that certainly appeals to me whenever he has like a real rockin' tune. This one is it's just as good to me. It's close enough that it doesn't depart in a negative way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Matt?
As an arrangement and a musical production and a vocal, it works really well. But it does just somehow miss just a little bit of the sass and the pizzazz of the full-on rock version of Let Me Entertain You.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a soft rock version with an orchestral edge. And I think you're right. I compared the tracks side by side. I literally had one earphone in one ear, one earphone in the other ear. This was like, what are you doing? I was like, I've got these tracks playing at exactly the same time. We go into deep research on this show, I literally had them exactly synchronized somehow. And yes, the original is in a slightly higher key, I can confirm.
Right.
By doing that. But I like this song in this version. I think it's going to be difficult throughout this whole episode, actually, not to just directly compare the songs to the originals. Obviously, that's what we're here to do. But it's growing on me again, like a lot of them. So I like it. Yeah. Obviously, you've got to start with that one, haven't you, as well?
Yeah. It's good.
It's got to be the opener.
Should we talk about Come Undone?
Yeah. So this was reorchestrated by Jules Buckley.
Mm-hmm. Robbie, would you like to go first on this one?
Sure. Obviously, I'm going to be pretty high on this one because it comes from my favorite album. Again, I think the orchestration actually kind of helps with this one. I feel like it fits quite well, but it doesn't really change the song all that much. So, it wouldn't be one I go back to all that much, but I do really like what they did with it here. It's, certainly worth a listen. I do really love Come Undone in general. It was certainly one of those ones driving around with that friend Andrew that he just he certainly got a kick out of, I remember. So so it certainly has nostalgic value to me. And so I was probably predisposed to like this version anyways, but it certainly stands out a little bit for one that I appreciated what they did here.
Right. Matt?
Well, I kind of got a bit creative here, so do you want to hear what I think?
Okay, go on then.
So there's a bit of a new orchestral intro on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously. So the start of this, it's the kind of music that I think they'd play on a film to signify like a brand new dawn or a bright new dawn, a new day emerging, the sun popping up, rabbits bouncing through the fields, Bambi bouncing along. You don't picture that when you hear it?
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that.
I don't know why.
Because without naming names, in case they don't want to be named, one of our previous guests messaged me and suggested that this song has been Disney-fied.
Oh.
So what you're saying...
Okay, so maybe it's got a bit of Disney magic in it that's kind of programmed in my head to recognise that.
Yeah.
Possible. I missed the lovely electric guitar twanging away at the start as per the original.
Yeah.
That's been taken away, and I missed that. So I did a test on this one and put one earphone in one ear and one in the other, and it's mostly the same, actually. His vocals almost identical timing. But there is an instrumental in the original that doesn't appear in the new version. Hence, he starts singing the final part earlier in the new version.
Oh,
I noticed.
okay.
I was like, wow, I found something different. What do you reckon, Lucy?
Yeah, I think it does sound beautiful, this version, but I feel like this song is meant to be kind of a bitter rock song with loads of angst, and so
edgy and
harsh, especially when he's saying "so fuck you all." Like, you shouldn't see like Bambi in your head when he's singing that, should you?
Most people don't say that with an orchestra behind them, do they?
No. He still sings it with really great emotion, but there's something about his raw voice on the original that I really like.
Yeah.
But I think he probably maybe technically sings it better in this version. I don't know. I'm not a musician, but there is a sort of a difference.
Yeah.
And I do really like how it still builds into like the massive finale as the song grows. But yeah, I think it's perfect as it is, Come Undone. And I don't know. For me, I feel almost like it can't be touched because it's just perfect song. So maybe. But they had to include it because it's one of his big hits. So it
had to be included.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who we ask, that is the most common song that comes up as people's favourite. Just straw poll. I've not got any scientific data behind that. But a lot of people love Come Undone, don't they? If they have to be forced to choose like a favourite song. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Love My Life.
Yeah.
And this was reworked by Jules Buckley. I didn't think it sounded that different to the original until I listened to like one after the other. And then I realised that the original's got drums on it and there didn't seem to be any drums. Which is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an acoustic version, really, with an orchestra. But it kind of shows that the appeal of this song must be in Rob's voice and the lyrics and the melody. The fact that I didn't even notice that until I really examined them. I hadn't even registered until I really looked at it. So yeah, I think it's got some lovely strings and the choir on it suits it really well. Kind of reminds me of when LMA choir sing with him. It's got that feel. Yeah.
Does it remind you of when myself and Chloe sang it to you
at
your birthday party?
Yes.
I know you didn't have that in your notes.
No, I didn't have that.
Obviously, that's the main memory that you've got of it.
Yes.
I know that.
Robbie, do you like Love My Life?
This isn't the song I meant when I said there was one. I enjoyed it. Yeah, this isn't honestly isn't one that I've listened to, like the original song I've listened to as much as a lot of these, just because a lot of these have been with me much longer. But yeah, so when I listened to it, I also didn't notice that it was missing the drums.
It's weird, isn't it?
I kind of listened to it a few times thinking, well, this one's kind of pretty much the same. It's slight touches that are different, but it didn't jump out to me as being all that different. But it's still a really nice song, still really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Not one I'd go, this particular version, one I go back to too often.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's obviously a beautiful song. Similar to Lucy, it sounded very similar, and you said that as well, Robbie. But I do miss the drums. Yes, I agree with you both on that. Definitely love the original more. I mean, it's got one of my all-time favourite, well, not all-time, but I've got many favourite Robbie lyrics, but Find the Others with Hearts Like Yours is definitely one of my favourite Robbie lyrics.
Right.
I say that to people quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think I've said that before.
You have.
I like that one. Because it's what you should do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why find people with hearts that aren't like yours?
Yeah.
Or bad hearts. I don't know.
Should we go on to Millennium?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So this was reimagined by Steve Sidwell. In a 2016 interview with The Sun, Rob said, "When people say they have no regrets, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. There's so many things I would have done differently, like Millennium. It's one of my greatest hits, but I wouldn't play that song again if it was up to me. Millennium? What the fuck does that mean? On my last tour, I added the beat of Jay-Z's 99 Problems just to make it more interesting for me to perform. But it's not about me. I'm not there to be entertained. I'm here to entertain. That's my job." I think we know he doesn't like Millennium.
Yeah.
Well.
When being interviewed on Radio 5 for 25 promo, he had to ask his manager Michael if Millennium was included on the album. Michael told him it was, and that it's the great new version that he likes. Rob then stated, "I can confirm that Millennium is on the album. That's how much I love that song." Yeah, no clue. Matt, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I do miss the oohing at the beginning. There's no oohing. I'm automatically programmed to do that oohing when I hear this track. You know what I mean. So this new version makes the sound much more sophisticated overall.
Yeah.
The overall sort of sounding of it. It's still got the signature bass line booming away in the background, and it wouldn't be right without that. Yeah.
Yeah, not much more to say. Well,
Not much more to say.
Robbie, Millennium, what do you think?
This is actually one of the ones on here that stuck out the most to me about, it being different enough that, like, I could see myself, making a not a CD, I guess, but making a Robbie Williams playlist. I guess I gotta think about what year this is. And putting this one on there. It certainly has more of the Bond feel with the additions there. And yeah, I really loved this version. That when I listened to it throughout the last few weeks, this is definitely, this and No Regrets are the ones I listen to the most. So yeah, this is definitely one of the standouts for me on here. So
yeah, I'd agree actually. Yeah, this isn't one of my favourite songs, but I think that this version has got something about it that I quite like. I love the strings at the start, and then during the chorus, it's, as you said, Robbie, it's exactly like a sort of Bond theme, which is how it should be. It sort of makes it more potent. There's like a funky beat behind the verses. I love the brass and the woodwind, or maybe it's a flute, I don't know, at the end of some of the verse lines.
Yeah.
It's made the song like interesting to me again. I think after years of hearing it, it's just made it more interesting,
Yeah.
I think I must have got bored of it, but now it's okay. I sort of quite like this version. And hopefully Rob himself likes it a bit more now that he's sort of got this new version. Maybe it's made him like it a bit more. It doesn't seem that way though, does it, from the interview? I wonder how he felt having to record a vocal for it again. But it did sound great live at the Hamburg show, didn't it, when he had the orchestra with him?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It really got the whole place going, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's good how it ends with a pop-up, and we won't stop, and then it stops. Because on the original, it fades, which is a bit boring, but on this version, it's got a proper stop. I like that.
So shall we move on to Road to Mandalay?
Yeah.
This was available to download and stream from the 8th of July, 2 months before the album's release, and on the 21st anniversary of when the Road to Mandalay Eternity double A-side originally came out. Rob said, "Mandalay sounds completely different to the original, and I think the result is epic." A video shot by Leo Barron of Rob singing this in the studio accompanied it. It was reorchestrated by Jules Buckley. Rob told one French interviewer that he wrote this in Paris when he was brand new to sobriety.
Robbie, would you like to go first?
Sure. This one, when I got to it, I was kind of excited to listen to it because I hadn't heard the song in a long time. And recently, for work, I was signing authority. So I trained people how to drive on like a higher license, so you could drive like a bus or something. And I recently had a guy from Liverpool originally that I was upgrading. We were talking about music throughout the upgrade. And at one point I mentioned Robbie Williams, and I almost started to explain who Robbie Williams was because I'm just used to it. And he stopped me and just went on about how much he loves Road to Mandalay. So when I got to it, I thought, okay, I haven't listened to that album in quite some time, so it was nice to take me back. And yeah, it's still great. It's a great version. I'm sure it is quite different, but the tempo seemed very much the same to me, and it didn't really jump out as different to me as, say, like Millennium was. I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you guys feel that it was like very different?
For me, I felt like it was really different, and I actually hated it when I first heard it. Am I allowed to say that?
Wasn't it the one? It was the one that we were most like.
I was like, oh my God, what have they done to it? When
we were a bit outraged when we first heard it. We're like, oh, they've ruined Road to Mandalay. I can't listen to that. But
that's how we felt.
That was initially. I'm not sure whether we still
but
feel
now
like that.
I actually like. Well,
Our
at
views
first,
changed.
I thought that they'd kind of taken the joy out of the song. Like, I like the bumming bits, and I felt like the bumming bits were
bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Bum. It slowed it down.
It felt like they were slowed down. Yeah.
The bumming bits, as Robbie likes to call them, were a bit too slow.
But actually, it's grown on me and now become one of my favourites on the album.
So do you think you would go back to this particular version, or would the original version always be what you listen to?
Well, I think they're different enough that they both warrant their own listen.
This is a Sunday afternoon listen, and the other one's a Saturday afternoon listen.
I love that. That's fantastic.
I don't know what that means. Something like that. But because I can't quite deal with the. I can just about cope with it being slowed down. There's something. It slightly grates on me that the tempo's been changed, but it is a beautiful track. So I just can't get used to that whole tempo being slowed down bit. But the orchestral arrangement on this track is just stunning.
Yeah, it is.
Stunning arrangement. So you know what I mean? This isn't a let's criticize every single song. It's just that it's obviously always going to feel different to us from the originals that we've been listening to for years.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful arrangement. So I'd probably get back to the original, to be honest. Yeah. But I'd listen to this one on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
I think it's the instrumental bridge that's like really dramatic and elegant on this version that I have actually now come to love. And now I can really appreciate it. But yeah, the first reaction was just like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah,
my first
I
listen,
like it now.
I kind of was like, when it started, I was a little like, okay, what are we doing here? But
yeah,
I did listen through the album a few times this week, and then I listened to it earlier. So by now, it's just kind of doesn't feel jarring.
No, yeah.
And isn't this the one at the Christmas present show that he
the t-shirt
did
guns.
the t-shirt guns with? So that is emblazoned in my mind.
Yeah,
where,
exactly. Yeah,
you know, for the first time ever, he got these t-shirt guns out and fired the t-shirts into the audience.
Yeah,
and it was
saying,
on the bum 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 bum.
Yeah, good
bum,
bumming.
Bum.
That's why
he said, "Oh yeah, I want to hear some good bumming out there."
Yeah,
it's a usual double entendre from Rob, so that's in my memory.
Yeah, same.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
So I can only remember that when I hear this song. But yeah.
Let's go on to Tripping.
Yeah.
This was reorchestrated by Jules, and Rob told journalist John Cairns, "I've never really been happy with the lyric in Tripping. I think there's a vibe and an energy there. I think it's like a stream of consciousness, but I'm not sure what stream it was. That being said, I've just done a couple of big gigs, Munich and Bonn, and I got Tripping out. I haven't sung it in a while, and it's a vibe and a different colour from anything else that I've done. Plus, I'm quite proud of the fact that I wrote that song on the bass, and that's my bass line. And there's a brass line at the end that I wrote too. I nearly got that song right. If I could have made it make sense, I think it would have been a bigger song."
Oh, yeah.
Matt?
I want to go first.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, thank you. I really love Tripping in both forms. Absolutely. This is one where I love the original and I love this version. It was great to have it in Munich when we went to see him in Munich. It was so good that Tripping was included in the set because it's different.
Yeah.
I like it. And they've just got this so right. It's a moody and weird kind of song. And I love the bass line from Rob. You know, he said he wrote it on the bass line.
Yeah.
Also, the really low bass notes coming from the brass section. I don't know, possibly tubas or something
I'd
like
noted
that.
them. They're really cool.
Really deep sound.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. And yeah, this reorchestrated version really works. Have I already said that? Yes, I have. And then that really high bit. Why do you think we should suffer in silence? I can't do it high.
No.
It's just superb.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So there you go. I've gushed enough.
Okay.
Robbie?
Yeah, so this isn't, like, as I was mentioning, that we, for some reason, I can't remember why this song came up the other day, but we were out and I just mentioned it was stuck in my head, and so my fiance said, "Well, let's hear it then." And of course, I have all this stuff on my Apple Music, so we played it, and she recognized it, and yeah, this is another favorite of mine. Probably helps that it was of my favorite album. This is the next single, you know. So I was highly anticipating this song. I love how different it is from the previous album, anyway. And this version, I also really enjoyed. It's not, you know, different in a negative way, but it's different enough that I enjoyed it. It wasn't like just like, okay, this is the same, you know. I just I also could gush about this song, so since there was already gushing, I don't know if I want to go on too long, but it's a fantastic song in both versions. So
my first impression was that it was like really quite different, but it sounded great, you know. It sort of sounds funky but less reggae, because as it was described when it first came out, but Robbie disagrees with that, doesn't he, Williams?
Well, it's hard to put it into one genre, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah. But it's like really dramatic, this version. It kind of matches the lyrics, especially when he's talking about you've been mixing with some very heavy faces. And as you said, it's got those deep kind of noises, and it really suits the lyrics, you know, what they've done with the music. Although it's quite different, in some ways, it's still sort of the same. It's hard to
That's the bit. I'm gonna snip that piece out. Although it's different in some ways, it's still the same.
No, I think you need to cut that
out. No, I do. I sort of do know what you mean. I couldn't really describe what you mean, but I think I do. I know what you mean.
It's retained its essence. That's what I mean.
Yes.
And yet it's it's like different. I don't know. It's got like funny popping noises in the bridge. Not sure what they were. Yeah. And you know, he did an amazing performance of it in Munich. Because you know, sometimes he says he can't sing it anymore because it's too high, but he can sing it. And yes, we want it again, please.
He can, and I don't know. I'm not a professional musician, but it seems like quite a complicated piece, even the original.
Yeah.
Because the music's sort of all over the place and all sorts of different things coming at different points. He's singing low, he's singing high. So I think it's quite a complex piece, but it's still the same but different, right? Same but different.
Yeah.
Trippin' actually is one of the few Robbie Williams singles that I own the CD single of. So. So that's how much I was.
How did you get that?
I just bought it online and got it shipped to me. I did find here though in store. I did find Feel, Sexed Up, and I feel like there's another one. Might have been Come Undone. Yeah, I have a few of the singles, but Trippin' I bought in store, or I bought online, I should say. Advertising space too. I have, but I bought that on eBay, I think. So
right.
So shall we move on to Bodies?
Yeah.
So this was reworked by Steve Sidwell. Lucy, would you like to go first?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of not as striking as the original. Like it's lost a bit of its energy. Like I miss the guitar and the Gregorian chants at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Something like that.
Something like
Don't
that.
use that words. Sorry.
But the original does have strings on it, and it feels like they've expanded on that element.
Yeah.
Which sort of adds something to it. But they do still have the Gregorian chant later on in the song, thank God, because it wouldn't be the same without that.
Yeah.
It kind of gets more powerful as it goes on, which I really like. And also, I don't know whether you noticed, but he sings, "If Jesus didn't die for you, then what are you on?" at the end. Whereas on the original, he sings, "Jesus didn't die for you, what are you on?" So it's like he's reversed it, and now he's saying, if you don't believe in Jesus, then what are you on? Whereas, years ago, he was saying, you shouldn't believe in Jesus. What are you on?
Ah, subtle. Didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So if Jesus didn't die for you is now Jesus didn't die for you, and the second bit is what are you on?
No,
then what? Rather than then what are you on?
He sings now, if Jesus didn't die for you, then what are you on? Whereas before he was, Jesus didn't die for you.
Oh, I see.
What
So
are
he's
you
added
on?
if to the new one.
Yeah. Thought that was quite interesting. Robbie, do you like Bodies, this version?
I do really like the song in general. When I got to it the first time, I was very interested to see what they do, because any of his more dancey songs, I was kind of wondering what are they going to do with an orchestra. And I agree that I feel like it's kind of missing a little something. Doesn't quite hit like the other one does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable, but not quite to the level of the other one, of the original version. But I still enjoyed it. It's still a good listen.
Yeah.
You know?
I love the flute on the background in this one.
Oh,
yeah.
Didn't notice that.
There's a particular part where you can really hear the flute in the background. It's really nice. But I do agree with you. I am missing the chanting and the electric guitar at the start. I know it's orchestral, but it needs the electric guitar. But also the chorus is slightly slower than the original.
Oh, is it?
Because I listened to them side by side again. It's another one where I was listening to them side by side. Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice version. Probably prefer the original though.
Yeah. I think the original's so unique, it's hard to change it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So should we talk about Candy?
Yeah.
So this version was reorchestrated by Steve Sidwell. Can I start?
Yeah.
It sounds almost the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the original had a flamboyant amount of instrumentation and rich variety. So this orchestral version is pretty much the same, sort of like a remake. Because, Candy has got a lot going. It's very layered. There's a lot of instruments. There's a lot of things going on in the song. What I do know is Rob does absolutely love this one. I think he likes seeing the crowd going for it when he sings this one. So it's thrown into quite a lot of sets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think he knows that people kind of really party and go for it when they hear Candy.
Yeah.
So, no disrespect to the reorchestration by Steve Sidwell. I think he's done it proud.
Yeah.
But it's similar because Candy had so much going on in it anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe that's probably what they were trying to achieve. That all these versions don't have to be completely different.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's just played with an orchestra.
Different instruments, yeah.
I basically thought the same, that I couldn't really hear much difference because it's like a fun over the top song already. So, and obviously he put this into the set list instead of Lost. So he obviously does like singing it. We'll come to that.
Yeah, we will.
It was funny when he throws the t-shirts out to this song, when he throws them really hard and far, and there's a video where at Manchester, I think it was an official Manchester Arena kind of camera or something, where he threw it and it's so hard it just knocked this camera over. It lands literally on the screen. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's quite funny.
Probably a 25-30 grand camera that you knocked over.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Robbie, do you like this Candy version?
I don't like this song at all, to be honest with you.
Okay. So this is the one you don't like.
Yeah. So it being on here, I was kind of like, I wish they would have done a different song. It's just the song isn't for me in general, so I don't really like this version either. But I agree. It sounded the same to me. Honestly, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I probably would have just skipped it. But I did give it a few listens.
Well done.
It didn't do it any better for me. So this one's just not for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't a hit everywhere, so you're not the only person that feels like that about it, I think.
No, you're not, because it is quite a divisive kind of song. I think people either love it or really don't like it. There's not a lot of people in between, actually, because it's a bit different for a pop song, isn't it? The way it's that brum, 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 it's sort of a bit, Yeah.
But it was a number 1 record in the UK. So
I thought
that's why it had to be included.
I thought I'd give it another go because, like, at the time, I didn't like radio.
Right.
I didn't like Rude Box when it first, like the single when it first came out. But I like those now, so I thought, well, maybe I'll like it better this time. I did not like it better this time. So.
Yeah, but Robbie has said that he himself isn't really that keen on it. He knows it goes down well.
Yeah, he likes it for the reaction it gets.
Yeah.
He knows it's a crowd pleaser at concerts.
In the UK, anyway.
In the UK, yeah. He won't play it when he comes to Canada, don't worry.
if he ever comes to Canada, that would be great.
Yeah.
Oh, one day, you never know.
I'll keep hope alive.
Yeah.
So shall we move on?
Yeah, let's talk about Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
This was reimagined by Jules Buckley. And when we went to see Guy at Bewdley Festival in October, he said that when Rob recorded the French version of Supreme, they took all day to record it, 1 word at a time, and then they played it to the French record company, who said they couldn't understand a word of it. But it still reached number 12 in France and became a gold record there. That's L'amour suprême. So anyway, I just thought I'd drop that in because that was a funny little anecdote that Guy said.
Yeah, he stood there for all day, like singing individual words. And
So, Robbie, do you like Supreme?
I don't dislike Supreme. Supreme's kind of one of those songs for me that when it comes on, I leave it on. I enjoy it, but it's not one that I come back to all that much. So, this reimagined version, it doesn't like knock my socks off or anything, but I did enjoy it. You know, it was a fun listen each time I listened to it. So, not that album in particular isn't top of the heap for me. So,
right,
I enjoyed it enough, but it wasn't. It was not peak for the album for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt?
Well, it's a beautiful song, isn't it?
Well, it's one of your favourites.
Yeah. I think I've picked it on a previous episode.
Yeah, you have.
I missed the bit at the start and that scratchy record bit at the beginning, you know. But this one, I think, really suits the real orchestra vibe in the background.
Yeah.
Obviously, the lyrics in this song are amazing. And the rap bit stayed in.
I know.
I spy with my little eye, something beginning with, got my back up. I think I quite literally just like all of the lyrics in this song. So it's just brilliant. So I'm extremely biased when it comes to Supreme. Oh. So I probably, even though this is a slightly different version, I find it hard to criticise it because I love the song so much.
Right.
I'm biased.
Yeah, I always enjoy this, but it's never one. But it's not one I come back to for some reason. It's kind of funny, but whenever it comes on, I'm like singing along. And
I think this version's lovely. I love the choir and the intro, and the strings on the "I Will Survive" bridge sound great.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds incredible. But it's quite, as you say, it's quite orchestral in the first place, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, the rap. Mm. If this rap wasn't on this song, I don't think there would have been a rap on this whole album.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad that we've got at least a bit of
Robbie rapping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that our friend Petra absolutely adores this new version.
Yes.
She went crazy for it. But he dropped this on the tour. So he sung it in London, Birmingham, Manchester, but then dropped it for Glasgow and Dublin. And I don't know why. It wasn't this version that
I was going to say,
singing.
I can't remember that it was this.
I think it was the original that he was singing. But yeah, I don't know why he dropped it. This is a big hit. Annoying.
Did he replace it with something?
I heard it.
Just one last song?
Just
dropped out of the
Yeah, he always likes to try and shorten his set list.
Yeah, I think he's on a mission to shorten it somehow, yeah.
That makes me think of, I'm also a big fan of Oasis. The last time they toured Canada before they broke up, I looked at the set list they were doing in the UK, and every night they were doing Stop Crying Your Heart Out, which is my favorite song of theirs that I never saw live. And I thought, okay, well, they're going to do it. They're doing it every night. And then they come to Canada, exact same set list. They just took that song out.
Oh, annoying.
Oh, dear. So shall we talk about Strong?
Yeah, Strong.
And so this was reorchestrated by Jules. So Lucy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it's like not too different from the original, but I'm sure he's singing it in a lower key if you listen to them together. But I really like his vocal on this one, especially on the bridge. I think I like the more mature voice on it. I like his deeper voice. It suits him. There's a much shorter intro on this version. I'm glad it's still got the guitar on it as well. It wouldn't be right without the guitar solo bit. You know, after Rob sings the long Step Inside the Sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've reduced the amount of backing vocals and replaced it with the orchestra instead, basically, on this version. Yeah. But yeah, I like it. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. It's in a slightly lower key, only just slightly though.
Yeah.
And it mostly sounds very similar to the original. I think the new version sounds a little bit more funky in the background, particularly the bass guitar line.
Yeah.
A bit more sort of noticeable. Yeah. Didn't have much more to say about it, really.
No.
Robbie, Strong?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat where I like it. I do think that it has a bit more of a funk style guitar sound there. It does have differences, but it sounds so much similar that I don't really have a whole lot to comment about it. I do enjoy it, but it's not one that's standing out. So
yeah,
it's such an epic song in its own right, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing with these songs. They're so they're all so big.
Yeah, there's not much more they can almost do with them, is there? Because they're already so
yeah
great. So the next song is Eternity.
So this was reimagined by Jules, and this was also released ahead of the album on the 8th of July on the 21st anniversary of its original release, with a video of Rob recording it shot by Leo Barron again. Rob said, "What Guy and the orchestra have done have made me so proud of Eternity."
When Augsburger Allgemeine newspaper asked him about the line, "Youth is wasted on the young," and whether he'd like to be in his early 20s again, Rob replied, "No, I wouldn't. Sometimes I think back to that phase in my life, but never with nostalgia or longing. I don't want to have to relive those years." And
Guy said when we met him at the Bewdley Festival that they wrote this in a graveyard at night in Jane Seymour's Tudor house. Jane was one of Henry VIII's wives.
Yeah, so I didn't know that before till then. Because remember, Guy said something like, Robbie said, "I'd like to write a song in a graveyard," and in the graveyard in the house they were staying at. And Guy, his immediate thought was, "And you're going to want to do it at night, aren't you?" And then Robbie said, "I'd like to do it at night." So yeah, Guy was like, "Yeah, I knew that's what you were going to say." Robbie, do you like Eternity?
I do. I will tell you, I certainly wouldn't want to be in my early 20s again. I've always really liked this song. So this version, again, just, I love it, regardless.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. What more to say? I really loved it. I was listening to this one while I worked, so I actually was doing the driving on this particular day. So that an older lady was on the bus, and I said, "Do you mind if I keep listening to this music?" And she goes, No, go ahead." And this song, she kind of started asking me, "Who is this? What is this song?" So it's kind of nice to be able to share it with them. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
What do you think, Liz?
I think it's absolutely stunning. I love this version. It just makes an absolutely gorgeous song even more amazing.
Yeah.
It's so suited to be played by an orchestra, but then it has been turned into an orchestral version before as a B-side to Something Stupid, which we discussed on our Swing When You're Winning B-sides episode.
Yeah.
And that one felt like it could appear in a Disney movie, but I think that this orchestral version is a bit less Disney-esque.
Yeah.
That's what I said last time, but I think this one's a bit less Disney. I think it's nearer to the original, so it kind of retains its magic, but it's different enough to be even more spectacular.
Mm.
And then weirdly, in our Sing When You're Winning episode, we said that this song was supposedly about Jerry Halliwell from the Spice Girls, because that's what it says on Wikipedia.
Yes.
But that we couldn't remember hearing Rob say that himself. So I doubted whether it was true. But maybe Robbie has been listening to us, because
I wonder.
As he, introduced this song on tour every night, he basically confirmed that, yes, this song is about Jerry Halliwell, and introduced it, by telling that story every night. So it was good to have that fact confirmed from the man himself. But yeah, it's really great to hear this live. And I loved the images of the orchestra playing it behind him on tour as well. And, he said something like, we spent a lot of fucking money on that, so we're going to use it, or something like that. Yeah, I love it. Matt?
That's a very good catch, Lucy. As I said, I don't remember him saying it publicly before.
Yeah.
So, our little bit of research on that episode was obviously spot on. And obviously Rob does listen to the podcast. Hi, Rob. I know Robbie from Canada listens to the podcast, but, I think I'm talking about Rob Williams. So, yeah, good that we gave him that idea to Jerry Halliwell on the 25 tour.
Yeah.
When he said to us, so recently we were on the Graham Norton show in the UK.
Watching it, we weren't on it.
Well, we weren't on it. We were in the studio audience, and Robbie was singing Lost, and he said to us, "Are you still doing that podcast about me?" I think he was just throwing us off the scent when he said that, because I reckon he does secretly listen.
Yeah.
I reckon it was propaganda just to make us think that he isn't absolutely loving the podcast and all our special guests that we have. Anyway, more about that another time. But this song is so beautiful. I mean, Eternity is just the most beautiful song. Just really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to No Regrets.
Yeah.
So this was released on the 26th of August with an accompanying video by Leo again. When asked which was his favourite on this album, Rob said, "No Regrets. I don't know why. I just think it's particularly magnificent. Very James Bondy. I'd like to take the acclaim that that's musically all my idea, but it was rearranged by Jules Buckley. Basically, you get an orchestra and they do God's work. Their talent and God's work combined has elevated these songs to a different stratosphere. In particular, I think No Regrets on this album is a standout track."
He told the Irish Times, "Obviously nobody would turn down a Bond theme, and the version of No Regrets on this album has got Bond written all over it. But I think that my time in the sun for being linked to doing a Bond theme is probably over. I'm not saying that it's over forever, because careers have a habit of going up and down. That being said, I'd never turn that offer down. That would be an honour. But is it likely? I doubt it."
He told Zane Lowe, "If I could point to, there it was, the thing that I wanted to do when I left Take That, it's that song." Rob agreed with Zane that it was a masterpiece after initially telling Zane that there wasn't one song he could pick as the best.
So he basically said, "No, I can't pick a song." And then Zane said, "Oh, well, for me, it's No Regrets." And then Rob was like, "Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that actually." So, Robbie, No Regrets? I think you'd like this
Absolutely.
one, don't you?
Obviously a bit of bias, but this was my favorite song on this album. There are little bits that are different that, like, just because I'm so used to the original version, I'm kind of like, oh, where's that backing vocal with the kind of talking back lyrics. But when I'm listening to it, I just sing those lyrics for him, absolutely love it. I love the added Bond feel to it. Instantly, that's what I thought of. I'm glad to hear that that was the idea, and not just my head thinking, "Oh, that sounds like Bond," I could go on. Like, a song that means a lot to me. It's funny because most of my life I assumed he was talking about a woman, not not take that in general. I'm not sure which member it's supposedly about, but
I think it's all of them.
Oh, is it all of them? Okay.
In general, and the manager as well, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My take that knowledge is rather slim. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's a song that means a lot to me. Like I feel his lyrics when he's singing the song. So yeah, always a top pick for me. So yeah, absolutely love it.
Lucy?
My overriding memory is us being in the hotel room in Munich when this came out.
Yeah.
And playing it in that hotel room, lying on the hotel bed listening, and then us both laughing at the end when he said undead.
Undead, yes.
I think that's funny at the end. But yeah, I think it's incredible and definitely one of the best new versions on this album. It's a dramatic, theatrical song anyway, so I think this just adds more to that. And the loud kind of da-da-da-da bits, they totally give me goosebumps. And when he did it in Munich, as that came on, the sort of stage was all black, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the lights kind of went blue and flashed in time with those bits. It was just so striking. It was just, oh God, it was amazing. That was the only new version that he sung at that gig, I think.
So you guys have heard this version live too, then?
Yes. Yeah, this is what he's been playing on tour.
So cool.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. It is live, yeah. And I do wonder whether they might use this version in Better Man. I'd love it if they did. It's just something so incredible about it. It's because it's so theatrical. I feel like it could really work in that. Yeah, Matt.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've said it all really, but I totally agree on the orchestral hits. The da 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 da.
Yeah,
it just sends a shiver down your spine. The orchestral version is just so powerful, so strong. And this song really, really lends itself to being rearranged in this way. It's just great. And I agree with the undead piece at the end. Although he hasn't carried on saying that.
No, he always says dead when he sings it live. He doesn't say undead.
So he obviously didn't really agree with that line being changed. Yes, I think at that time in Munich that Lucy was talking about, I think I nearly got myself into trouble because I have a feeling that we were chilling out, I was led in the bed, and I have a feeling that I called that song up and started listening to it. Wasn't I listening to it first before you heard it or something?
Oh, I can't remember now.
I think I nearly got into trouble. I had to put it on speakerphone so that...
Yeah, was I in the toilet or something? Then I came out and you were already listening to it or something?
Yeah. I nearly got into trouble for listening to it before Lucy. So then I had to put it on speaker so she could hear it as well.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, but incredible.
So let's move on to She's the One, reorchestrated by Jules again.
Yeah. So this is the version that he's sung on tour recently. I think it's not really very different to the original, but he sings it in a lower key, definitely, so that he can reach the flying note.
Yeah,
that he often used to ask the crowd to sing for him, but now he can sing that bit.
Yeah, he can.
And when we interviewed Danosh, she did say that she really enjoys doing the backing vocals on this version. He sings it beautifully, but it's not one of my favourite songs, so I wouldn't be fussed if it wasn't on it. It's also the only cover version that, a non-Robbie song that's on this album.
Even though he occasionally claims it as his own.
Yeah.
I think he likes to joke on stage.
Yeah.
About it, just to annoy Carl Wallinger. Allegedly.
Robbie? Do you like this one?
Oh, I do. It's this song actually I'd been thinking of recently because although we're quite a ways off from an actual date, when we've been talking about our wedding, I've been talking about not necessarily like we've kind of picked our first song, but I want to have other songs, and I was trying to think of a good Robbie Williams song, and She's the One popped in my head. Because because a lot of his he doesn't have a lot of great like romantic songs that would really fit the occasion.
Well, I think my recommendation is Not of This Earth.
Oh yeah,
from the Bridget Jones's soundtrack.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anyway, carry on.
No, I was actually going to kind of say, did you guys have an idea for that? But yeah, so she's the one I had been listening to recently, thinking like, oh, this might be a good one to have as one of our songs,
Yeah.
But I do like the original better than this version.
Yeah.
And it's not an original, so like not an original Robbie written song anyway. So it's. Would I have preferred to add something in, like personally, Karma Killer would have been a lot of fun.
Oh my god! Yeah, totally.
That's a song that I thought of. Oh, that would have been really cool with an orchestration. But
yeah.
It's. I know it was a big hit in some areas, so I'm sure he was.
Yeah, it was a big hit, so I guess they had to include it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So should we talk about feel? Have I not said anything?
No.
Let's not talk about feel. Let's talk about what I think about She's the One. I love the opening of this song. It's just beautiful, and the horn sounds just incredible. His vocal is really quite perfect in this arrangement, and I'm glad that steel guitar remained in this orchestral version as well.
Yeah,
that sort of twanging along in the background sounds good. That's all I've got to say about that one.
Okay, let's go on to Feel then.
So Feel was also reworked by Jules.
Thank God this still starts with the piano opening, because that's iconic.
Yeah,
if that wasn't on it, it just wouldn't be right, would it?
No.
And I do love that it includes the operatic backing vocals that are often used when they sing it live.
Oh yeah.
I think because that was planned to be used on the original and they decided not to, and I always wonder whether that was exactly what they had planned. I guess it is.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give us a bit of that operatic?
No,
bit?
I'm not singing. I'm not singing that.
Just so people know what we're talking about. There.
They know what I mean.
Okay.
It's quite spiritual anyway, this song. So the opera bits suit it, don't they?
They do, very much so.
I think it's an epic song that's been made even more epic with this version. I love it.
Green lights is what I think about.
Yeah.
When I hear, feel, or see it performed, it's always performed with green.
Okay.
To me, it sounds very similar to the original, apart from the orchestral bits. That's a
good
deep
synopsis.
analysis of that song. Robbie, over to you for your deep analysis.
Well, this song, when I really got into Robbie, this was the first new single that came out after that. So obviously, this song has a lot of meaning for me. And I believe when I started listening to your guys' podcast, I kind of re-listened to all the albums as I was going along, and I kind of was looking how they all did in Canada on my own.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I remember right, this is his biggest hit in Canada. And then it went to the same spot in the chart as Millennium, but this was in the charts longer. So,
okay.
Right.
So, and it definitely was. The video was on TV every night.
Is that because it was filmed in Canada, do you think?
I don't know.
And because it's got Daryl Hannah in it, maybe.
Could be.
Maybe
could be
that helped.
Usually when his albums were coming out, especially in that kind of era, the first single would do pretty well here, and then the follow-up singles would do less and less. Because I do remember seeing the video for Come Undone too, but regardless.
Well, the cinematography in the Feel video is just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like watching film, especially with Daryl Hannah in it as well. So I can understand why it has appeal to be played over and over again.
Yeah. I do really love the song in general. This version is still great, but I prefer the original. But that's probably just from it being part of my life for so long. This song I was like, Feel. Oh, that might be good for the wedding. Wait, no, it's not good for the wedding. Looked at these lyrics. Not so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think of the chorus,
maybe the melody without the lyrics. Yeah. Yeah. It's an iconic song. It really, really is. I mean, the piano opening is another one that just sends shivers down my spine every time I hear it. It's just, there's something very haunting and beautiful about that. It's great.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Right, next song is Rock DJ.
Yeah, so this was rearranged by Jules, and Rob told Italian DJ Radio that this version is a vibe. I'm very proud of it. New guitar solo, but those Barry White strings are just intoxicating. They're from another planet. Yes.
Robbie, you like Rock DJ?
It's not my favorite, but you can't get away from it. Even here in Canada. So a lot of the times, if I bring up Robbie Williams to somebody, they'll ask if it's the Rock DJ guy or the video where he's ripping his skin off. Is it that one?
Yeah.
But I still enjoy the song. It's just not one I would go to right away. This version is interesting though. Like I did enjoy listening to it. It's it's a fun listen, certainly.
Matt?
Well, I really think it's hard for me to even imagine that there's another version of this song.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are all iconic songs, but this one in particular, I was like, oh, what's it going to sound like on an orchestral version? Are they going to ruin it? However, when I heard it on the live stream from Germany, from Hamburg, recently,
that one, yeah.
It's just quite incredible.
Yeah.
It just brings a new dimension to the song. So that, I don't know, seeing a live performance of it made something else click for me when I saw it, obviously with the orchestra and everything.
Yeah.
And I like the fact as well that the electric guitar is on the end, still on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's that constant beat throughout the song. It's just brilliant. And at the end of the song, when the electric guitar comes back in, it's just perfect. And I remember talking to Danny, Calvin and Rich about the Barry White vocal and them kind of trying it out and
sample,
bringing it in. So it's come a long way since those days.
Yeah, I love the Barry White vibe on this, as Rob described it. And the longer intro is great, so you can really get the feel for that Barry White sample. It just sounds so funky with the bass and the trumpet sounds and the strings. Rob's voice is lush. It's definitely one of my favourites on this album. I love the electric guitar at the end, as you said as well, Matt. And I think he sings this in a slightly lower key as well than the original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the "come on" bit as well.
Yeah.
I think you just have to move your body when this song is played. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I said when we recorded the episode where we reviewed this.
Yeah.
Just can't get bored of this song.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I could just listen to it over and over again. The original and this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think they've done a great job with this one.
Yeah.
Love it. Should we go on to Kids?
Yes. So Kids, and it doesn't actually say in the album credits who rearranged this version, but it was performed by Guy and other musicians.
Yeah, it's weird. I spent ages trying to look at the credits to try and work it out, but it just doesn't list this number with a rearrange next to it, so I don't know.
Could have been Steve, could have been Jules, who knows?
Maybe it was Guy because he produced the album,
yeah.
So maybe he produced it. But how exciting to have a new version of this song with Kylie as well. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know why. Like, if I looked at the track listing and I saw Kids was on this album, and it just never occurred to me that Kylie would be recording a new vocal for this song.
Oh, yeah.
Until we heard it, and I was like, oh my God, it's like new. How exciting. It's got their mature voices together, and I'm chuffed that she was willing to do it again with him. Yeah, it's just, it still sounds, it's like rocky still.
Yes.
Even though it's orchestral. I think it's, it's a bit more similar to the original, but just with their new voices on it.
Yeah.
And a few sort of cheeky bits like, hey, Robbie, hey, Kylie, want to do this one more time?
Yeah.
And obviously they've dropped Robbie's rap, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
It's also a lot shorter than the original. I think that's because they've dropped the rap, probably. It's like a whole minute shorter, which is sad. Matt, what do you think?
Just a classic, isn't it? I love it, but I also love the original too. And then I've noted that Kylie does some ooh yeah, yeah, but I can't remember why I wrote that down. Is there a bit where she does some ooh yeah, yeah bits?
Yeah, I think at the beginning. Yeah.
Obviously, I enjoyed that when I was listening to it. I don't know whether it was new or just
I like when she says "when my lips were dry" that she does it like a chef's kiss. Robbie, do you like this new version of Kids?
I do. It's a song I really love. So the original one is my preferred version. But I honestly, when I was listening to it, I wasn't really sure if it was a new vocal for her or not. I wasn't sure if she really did stuff anymore. I haven't heard anything of Kylie Minogue in a really long time. So.
Oh really? Oh God, no, she's still massive.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, she got really big here, like with what was that song called?
Locomotion?
No, this was like 2000. It was like 2001.
Can't get you out of my head.
That's the one. Yeah, so she was really big for a few years around then. I really love her in that episode of Doctor Who, but
I don't remember that. Was she in Doctor Who once?
She's forgotten that. She's in one of the specials with David Tennant. Yeah. So she was like a one episode companion. But she was great. I wish she would have stayed on. But, getting back to the point. Yeah, the song is a fantastic song, but I missed the rap. And the original one is still like the one to go to in my opinion. Like this one's good, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to come back to it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think it's just nice to have an updated version.
Yeah. I mean, they could have just thrown on the old lyrics, the old vocals, but they re-recorded it properly.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder whether when Robbie tours in Australia in November, whether we might get an appearance with them together. Because we've only got like 3 appearances where they actually sung it live together or something like that.
So one of them was Top of the Pops.
Top of the Pops on stage in Manchester and the MTV Awards. I think they're the only ones.
Well, maybe the Australians are in for a treat. Could happen.
That would be incredible, wouldn't it? Seeing as she lives in Australia again now. Right, then on to Angels.
Yeah. This had to be on there, of course.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this was rearranged by Jules Buckley. And this was the first song to be released as a promo single for the album on the 9th of June, 3 months before 25 came out. Once more, a video of Rob singing this in the studio was shot by Leo, and it was released at the same time.
When asked how the new version came about, Rob answered, "How do you reinvent that particular wheel? Well, you leave that to much more talented people than you are to be in charge of that and take care of it. It's not my wheelhouse. I can't think that up. Fortunately, we had Guy in charge and Jules Buckley that did the arrangement."
The official charts recently updated their list of all the singles that have sold 1 million copies or more in the UK. Angels is the 83rd best-selling single of all time in the UK as of November 2022.
Good achievement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Robbie, let's hear what you think of Angels, XXV.
Well, the XXV one,
both.
Yeah, I do really love the song. Actually, a number of years ago, just for fun, because I'm not like a great singer, I knew a guy that had a studio, so I decided to record like a song for each one of my family members. So I did Motown Song by Rod Stewart for my mom. I did a Fleetwood Mac song. I'm forgetting what it's called. Some Silver something for my sister. and then I did Angels for my dad. And it was fun. So it does have a kind of special place for me.
Yeah.
This version isn't quite. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it as much as the original.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it kind of felt like it was missing something to me. Like
Right.
it didn't quite have it. I didn't quite feel the emotion like I do from the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I'm glad it's there. I'm glad we have it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you guys think of this one?
Well, how can you even mess with Angels? I mean, however, this does really work. The bells, the orchestra, Rob's gravelly voice, it all works very well. I didn't think this song could actually feel more emotional, but I think they've tipped it over the balance even more. Really achieved that here.
Okay.
I think this, it stirs up, feels more emotional when I'm listening to it.
Okay.
The orchestra does something to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My favourite element is that it sounds like what it sounds like when Rob sings it live with his deeper voice. So
Yeah.
but especially the bit near the end where he sings "Whether I'm Right or Wrong," when he sings that bit instead of how it is on the original recording, where it just goes "Whether I'm Right or Wrong."
Yeah.
You would get the wrong bit, which is how I always hear it and how I always sing it, because that is how he has sung it for however long it is,
Yeah, that's how I always
25
sing
years.
it.
Yeah, but on the original recording,
Just goes wrong.
it just goes "Whether I'm right or wrong." But he had never sings it like that now, and he hasn't done for,
No.
25 years. So it's nice that we've got a proper version where he actually, sings it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do wrong or do you do wrong? Since you're a singer,
Well,
because Lucy's got a comment here about she doesn't like karaoke singers that don't sing it correctly.
I believe I sung it like the original studio album, since I've never got to see him sing it live, really. Besides on
exactly.
So you kept it true to the original.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Besides the live DVD. That's the only. That's as close as I've gotten.
The song still builds up to massive heights as it progresses, and it's got a beautiful middle eight with the orchestra, which they've made twice as long by repeating it. So I measured it. On the original, it's 24 seconds, and on this version, it's about 48 seconds. So that really vital kind of musical interlude, which is like a really big key part of the song, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, they've really built on that, which is good for the orchestral version. But it sounds like all the legendary parts have been retained. It just sounds like even bigger version of it. That's how I view it. But I did notice when Rob was singing it the first night at the O2, I think he was singing this version. And do you remember he kind of signalled to Carl with his hand, like he turned around and kind of looked at Carl on the drums and signalled with his hands, like speed it up or something. Like he wasn't settled into this version with singing it, and
something like that.
Something wasn't quite right, and he was signalling to change something to Carl. Which I don't really know what, but I just noticed that because he was right in front of us when he was singing it. So I think we're done with Angels, aren't we? Now we can finally move on to a new song that we haven't actually ever talked about before.
Yay, a new song.
Yay.
New song. And that new song is Lost.
Yay.
The official single from the album, released on the 5th of August. This was written by Rob, Guy, Chris Heath and Oli Swan. Produced by Oli, Guy and Richard. The Metropole didn't perform this one.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So we were lucky enough to be able to speak to one of the writers of the song, Oli Swan, who's from North London. Literally Tuesday night, the night before this episode comes out.
Yeah, thanks,
Last minute
Oli.
addition to the episode. Very pleased that Oli found time to speak to us.
And it's a truly lovely story of how Oli started working with Rob and still is. So, yeah.
Stay tuned for more from them.
Enjoy the little interview with Oli. So, welcome, Oli Swan, to the Robbie Williams Rewind podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, you guys. Nice to be here.
Cool. So, Lucy.
Well, in February 2020, Rob championed Oli's song Looking Back in a video message saying, "When you stop listening to me, listen to Oli Swan's new single. It's incredible." Yes, he may look like a hippie from the counterculture of the 1960s Haight-Ashbury of San Francisco, California. But give him a chance. This dude's got something to say, and it's real, man. Then again on Twitter in 2021, I have, saying, "This is my mate's new song." And he was promoting your song, your EP, All My Friends Are Lonely. So...
A very sweet man, as I'm sure you can attest as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we get into your work with Rob, tell us a little bit about who you are as an artist. Tell our listeners about you before we get into that story.
Yeah. That's always a tricky one. I guess. Well, I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. Got a background playing a lot as a session musician. And then a year before COVID, I got signed as an artist for some recordings I made, which are some of the ones you heard Rob talking about. And then there was a bit of momentum going on with that up until COVID. And then obviously COVID put the music industry on pause for a couple of years really. And during that time, I ended up doing more writing work. And yeah, that's kind of how me and Rob crossed paths, I guess. So, but I still write and make music in various projects and as an artist and increasingly with other people as well. So,
right.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've got actually quite a unique way that you actually became friends with Rob, haven't you? Can you tell everyone about that?
Yeah, we met in a very under very strange circumstances. I mean, I guess probably the first things, but I wasn't coming at it as a fan actually. I mean, obviously, growing up, I was probably a little bit late. You know, I'm probably a bit young for when he was at his peak of his powers. You know, but you know, obviously respected him and those songs in that particular era of him and Guy were so huge and, you know, to my childhood. But I wouldn't have identified as a fan. And I probably wasn't old enough in that period to, you know, be among that. So we met sort of bizarrely at a time that I think correlated with Rob exploring social media, I think. And when he was he had a period where he was a bit more active on social media. And I think some of the stuff you were talking about when he was doing Karaoke and engaging with his fans through social media, you know, I think because he had no other way of doing that. And during that time, our paths crossed, and he heard a track that I had out, or I can't remember which way around it was, but essentially we crossed paths somehow via Instagram. I don't know if he knows this actually, but I naively assumed that it was just a fan account or it wasn't him. So, and obviously, you know, at the time, as someone who was just starting to release music, you know, didn't see why he would have any business talking to me either. And we had this strange interaction for a few weeks where I just dismissed him as, you know, being some fanatical fan with an account that was messaging me. And so we're taking the piss out of each other really for a good few weeks. Which culminated in him trying to get me to send him some money to prove that I was really who I was. And And I guess I kind of kept going with it because I was like, whoever this guy is, with this fan account, he is a laugh, even if he is a bit of a nutter. And so yeah, we went along that thread for a little while, and then he sent. It transpired that he sent an image of his headphone, and I was like, bloody hell, it is him. Which caught me by surprise. And then we had a laugh about it, and I thought he was very gracious and very funny, and we found it very funny. And then he sent me some very sweet messages saying, like, I genuinely love your music. And I don't know if he'd come across me through a hashtag or something. It was something unusual. It was something fairly inconsequential, but he then heard a track I had out at the time, which was called All My Friends Are Lonely, which he really loved. And said that he'd like to try writing together. And I guess COVID kind of created this vacuum that allowed that to happen. So I think there's, I maybe didn't give credit to the circumstances at the time, but it was a very unusual circumstance. He was locked down in the apartment on his own because he'd come off tour. I was largely locked down in the apartment on my own. So there was this vacuum of time, and we got on very well. We started sharing lots of influences, and it took a little while to get going. But then, as soon as we did one track, it got very exciting very quickly, and Rob got very excited and said that he hadn't been inspired to write for a very long time. Or he'd warned me actually before we began writing. It's like, I haven't been inspired to write for a long time, but when the time's right, I'd love to try doing something. And we did this one track, and it happened very quickly. And then after that, facilitated by the big vacuum of time we had, we did loads in very quick succession, all online. So we would talk about tracks and send each other reference tracks. I would start building something, like a back-in track or a demo, some music essentially, would send it to him. He would send vocal ideas and melodies back, and we'd talk about how it sounded. And it went on like that for a while. And we did quite a lot of music. We probably did about 10 or so tracks during that period. Maybe a few more, but 10 or so that had, substance. A few dodgy ones in there as well. And I guess it was all quite speculative, really, because it was obviously an unusual circumstance anyway, because no one knew what the world was going to look like, or if it was going to unlock, or if there was going to be a music industry afterwards. So it was all very uncertain. But he mentioned he was going to have to do this greatest hits. So I was thinking that the writing we were doing was for like a forthcoming album, basically. So very speculative, because we've had to do the greatest hits, the touring and everything. So it was quite like a long range writing project. And then we became friends through that process as well as working together. I think it was largely born out of us getting on, really, and having similar references and having a sense of humor was a big part of it. And Rob's got a very good sense of humor, and then I guess we linked up when things were starting to open up again, COVID wise, and Rob was telling me about the greatest hits, and we had this one song that I was very keen on, that I felt we needed to finish. So I went up to his place in Wiltshire when he came. He kind of came over to England fairly quickly, I think, after the lockdown finished. And I went over to his place to try and finish this track. And what I didn't realize is that I think they had like a provisional new lead single for the record, I think, but I don't think he was that into it or that certain of it. So I think we were kind of looking at this track as maybe a possible fit. And that isn't the track that was used, actually. It's a track called Hey You, which I love, actually. I think it's one of the best ones we've done, but it still needs a little bit of work. But it's a great track. So I went up there with that, and I thought, you know what, I'll take a new thing in case we don't feel inspired working on that one, because we've been kicking it around a bit. And I played him this thing I'd only just started to work on that he really loved, but it was very raw. And went round to his place. We quickly did some vocals on the Hey You track, and then moved on to this track quite quickly, and got very excited about it. And it was done in quite an old-fashioned way, really. I mean, I had the bones of a backing track, which became lost, and but then sat at a piano, and he did some melodies in quite an instinctual way, as he's very good at. And these refrains started coming out, and it sort of happened very quickly. And at this point, I still didn't know that it was being considered for the greatest hits. But his engineer gave me a bell a few days out, and we hung out for the weekend and had a great weekend. And
nice.
It was very, very, very nice to get together finally, I suppose. And then his engineer gave me a bell a sort of week or so after that, or a few days after that, and said, that track we did, the second one, I think you should, pull your finger out and get that finished, because I think it's really great, and it's really, a special track. And I guess I probably still had the other track in the forefront of my mind, really. And then he sent me a rough version of what we did. So it was essentially like Rob's raw demo vocal on it. And I was like, oh, yeah, wow, this is really strong. And then worked on it very quickly from there. And then Rob loved it and was really excited about it. And then it was very quickly decided that it was going to be the lead track off the greatest hits. And I think Richard Flack, Rob's longtime engineer, and Rob as well, saw something in the song that suited the sensibility of the reorchestrated greatest hits, which I hadn't heard at the time. So I was a little bit in the dark.
Right.
That wasn't really anything to do with me. We were writing new material potentially for after that. And that made more sense to me as we began to produce the song. So and then it was basically a mad rush, because the record was done and had even been sent to press for vinyl. So it was like you've got to do this before Christmas, very, very quickly. Produced it with Guy Chambers and Richard Flack, who did the rest of the record, who are obviously long-standing collaborators of Rob's. And I think they helped bring some sort of continuity to it with the rest of the record. It came out really strong, I think. I haven't really had time to. I almost feel too close to it still, to sort of to kind of appreciate it. I'm thinking about new things all the time, and it was a mad rush to finish it, but I think it really sounds like him, and I think it sounds like he felt comfortable to do the thing he does best, and I think that's a real win when that happens, so
it's certainly very popular with a lot of the fans.
Absolutely, yes.
I feel. I'm glad. Thank you. That's kind. People have said a lot of nice stuff about it, and radio really took to it, from what I can tell. Obviously, Rob's World is new terrain to me, you know. So I can only comment on that to an extent, you know. But I think it seems like the fans really like it. So.
Well, there was one particular fan who I must mention.
Yeah.
Ruben in New Zealand. He got his Spotify Unwrapped results, you know, at the end of 2022, and it told him that his most listened to song was "Lost," and that he had played it 888 times.
That's what we like to hear. I probably owe him £2 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, good guy. Yeah, well, that's very nice to hear. Yeah, it was. You know, I've had a little look at the kind of comments and heard a bit, you know, through Rob and my manager about what radio was saying about it, and the vibe I got was that it landed very well with his fans, and that they felt that it was, you know, like a bit of a return to form, and
yeah,
so that
absolutely.
was very nice to hear.
We crave new music as well. For us, 25 is a great album. So yeah, this episode we're talking about Lost and 25. Yeah, we really like the album, but it's nice to hear new music as well.
Yeah.
So, and it was lovely to when we interviewed Rob to hear that there's a couple more albums on the way this year. He didn't really reveal any more details than that, but we're happy. The fans are happy to know there's more on the way. So
yeah, and hopefully some of your music will be on it as well.
Yeah, I hope so. We're still working on stuff, you know. It's you know, it's always difficult to tell with these things, with timelines and stuff. And I'm sure, you know, Rob, like me with other projects I'm in, you know, you want it out the day you finish it, really. You know, when the baby's born, so to speak, you know, without having time to sort of question everything you did over the period of a year or something. So
right, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, we're still doing stuff together, and I hope that continues. You know.
Oh, that's great.
Is it really surreal thinking about it sometimes that you're?
I've had a lot of people. Yeah, I've had a lot of people say that. You know, friends and things in music. I think I don't know. I think the fact that I didn't come at it as an out and out fan helped a lot.
Yeah.
I think that gave us an even keel. And actually, I had like the strange thing of like he, you know, he was very complimentary about stuff I'd done, you know, and that was a new thing for me at the time. So that was really, it was kind of like, I don't know, like we came at things quite evenly, which I think helped. In terms of it being surreal, yeah, definitely. But I think that the time itself was very surreal, you know. It was. It's hard to describe really, but I think COVID was surreal. Do you know what I mean? So added to that, you know, writing with Rob online, it sort of was just sort of cumulatively adding to the surreal situation, you know.
Well, what a lovely project to work on during that dark time. I mean, you know, you were probably hit like the rest of the music industry with, you know, not being able to do what you do, or at least live anyway.
It was a danger of being a twiddling thumbs time, for sure. So yeah, that was very cool. And I think it was surreal, but also because it was quite speculative. Lost kind of crept up, you know. And I think I felt like quite a lot of responsibility with that track because it had to be made very quickly and at short notice. And I care about Rob a lot, and it was at the front of what essentially is like his career's work, you know, from his fans' perspective and from his. So it felt like quite a big responsibility that had to be done under a very tight deadline. So maybe it'll be one of those things that lands a bit more in a year's time or something.
Yeah.
Did you like Rob? I'm thinking about the next thing. So
well, he always is. Yeah. Did you happen to go and see him at the O2 when he sung it?
I did. Yeah. I don't know if you heard, but he sort of he gave me a very cheeky shout out in the audience, actually, where I felt like I was getting told off by my teacher.
I don't remember that. We were there, but I don't remember.
Were you there?
Yeah, we were there both nights at the O2. Yeah.
Was it before the song?
Yeah, it was. He told me he clocked me in the audience, which I didn't think he had, and I was sat there with my girlfriend and my pal Jean, who did part of the string arrangement on Lost with Guy, and myself, and I was talking to him in between the intervals, in between the songs, and I think he caught me chatting to my mate, and was sort of like, "Oi, stop talking to your mate. This is the song we did together," you know. So
I think I do know that now.
Yeah. So that was quite funny. But yeah, it was cool to see it. It was cool to see it. I hope he puts it back in the set. I feel like
so do we.
I feel like the kind of promotion of it in some ways went really well, but there was a few timing things from what I gather with the video and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but
we did. We spoke to him about that on the interview, and he was really honest about it, and he was obviously frustrated that there was a delay in the industry with the video coming out like 3 months later.
I love the video too.
Oh, it's amazing! Yeah,
it is a really good video.
Yeah.
It's a scaled down version of the concept that Rob actually wanted to do. He wanted to have a video where, you know, he was following himself.
He told me he wanted him, didn't he?
Yeah. So that was a little bit too expensive to pull off, but I like what they did actually. It's nice to see the clips of him through the years. You know, the iconic moments in that. You know, I think it's really special because of that.
Yeah.
That's cool. It was a good way to go. You know, the whole meta reflective thing with the album. I thought video is always funny terrain. I think, you know, because essentially you throw, you know, I can't speak for Rob on this, but from you know, experience of working with other people and myself, it's a terrain that you don't really know anything about, that there's an obligation to do. You know, so I think it's quite easy to make yourself look like a dickhead, I think, in video as a musician, you know.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, how about you have a go at making some pottery as well, you know. But I thought that was, they did a really lovely job with that, and he came across great, and I love the stylization of it as well, the whole 60s kind of BBC.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you can rest assured that we've got a bit of a campaign going. We did talk to Rob about it, obviously, and we were trying to influence him to bring it back in.
Yeah.
I think he may. I think you may know this. He may have spoke to you about this, but he's always less confident with new music in a live context.
I know how it is. I mean, when you're doing a greatest hits tour, it's like no one wants to hear the new track, do they? You know.
Well. We're not sure that's true, though.
That's maybe a bit cruel.
No, I know, but he often says that, and I actually think that even the less dedicated fans that only want to hear the hits do want to hear new music, and I think he's always hard on himself, because I think the energy that the audience produces during his performances is so off the scale normally that when something new comes, obviously people are sat listening. They're attentively listening to it, and they're not going to be jumping about or swaying or moving because they don't know what's coming. So, I think that it unnerves him a little bit. And
I get that.
He likes the energy of the show to flow well, and I think he just said that. What did he say? He thought it was going to be similar to the reaction that
like Feel.
Yeah, but I think it's solid, incredible song, and actually deserves a place in the set. So, you know, let's see. He sometimes comes back to these numbers over time. So
I think you know, with these things, it's you know, I can totally appreciate from his perspective when you're doing a greatest hits tour. I mean, I thought the band did a great job of it. I really at the O2 shows. I thought, speaking to Carl about it, the drummer, and they kind of funked it up a little bit and leaned into the break thing a bit and made it a bit more up tempo. And I thought the band really, really did it justice. But I totally get it when you're playing, you know, huge tracks that people have had to live with, or been able to live with, you know, the best part of 20 years in some cases. it's a tough act to follow for the new kids. You know, you can be the most bright-eyed, handsome, talented new kid on the block, but you know you're still new, and I think it takes time for people to get familiar with those things, you know, and I could see how that would be an unusual energy putting a new one in on a tour like that, you know, that it would be tricky to compete with those huge tracks, you know. So but you know, I think seeing how it went down in Germany was unbelievable. Like people, you know, the Munich show, people was you know, singing it very quickly. So you know, I think given the time to acquaint themselves with it, you know.
Yeah, people need a chance to listen to it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And get used to it.
But he's got to feel good up there, and he's got to feel the set's right. So you know, I leave that with the big man. Really.
Yeah. It's all down to him, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've actually got new music out yourself, really? Well, fairly new. Millennial Pressure.
Yeah, I mean that was a slightly funny one. That was some stuff that was done before COVID that kind of came out with a bit of a limp because that was one of the things that was on hold over COVID. But yeah, so it's sort of, you know, new but old. But I've done another record of stuff recently that I'm alongside. I've been mainly recently writing stuff, thinking about Rob. I've done some stuff for him potentially that we've been working on, and done a bit of music for TV and film stuff. And I've done this new record that I think might come out under a totally different name. We'll have to see. So there's plenty of new stuff in the works, you know. Not on the scale of Rob's, you know. But,
sounds as though you're quite busy though.
Yeah, keep him busy. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And can people come and see you live anywhere?
At the moment, they can't, you know. But that might happen. That might happen towards the middle of this year, I think. Let's talk of doing some stuff again. I'm kind of in the studio zone at the moment.
Right.
And, just finished this record with some other people. So when that sees the light of day, you know, it'll probably be time to promote that and tour that. So not in the short term, but keep an eye out, you know.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, we've been enjoying listening to your stuff anyway.
I've been very much enjoying it.
I enjoyed listening to Be Kind earlier on today.
Oh, that's very generous of you. Thank you. Yeah, I quite like that one actually. Yeah. It was this the sort of COVID timeline has been a bit confusing and has, you know, thrown up lots of lucky things like the people I work with like Rob, but it's also been a little bit disorientating in terms of my own things. So that's kind of you to say because I don't think many people have heard that stuff. So you know,
I really enjoyed it.
Really like the vibe. Yeah.
Recommend everyone goes and listens to Oli's music.
Yeah. Go and look up Oli Swan and listen.
That's very kind of you.
And will you keep in touch with us? Because obviously you may have, by the sounds of it, you may have some more in the pipeline, and we'd love to have you back on and chat about some of that. Hopefully we'll get to meet you in the future as well.
For sure.
We're off to, where are we off to next? We're off to Amsterdam, aren't we? That's the next date we're going to see.
Are you going to one of the Amsterdam shows?
Yeah, on Robbie's birthday.
His birthday show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm also doing Barcelona as well.
Oh, you guys are keeping busy. Bless your hearts. He needs to look after you then.
Oh yeah, he does. He does.
Good. Amazing. Well,
so thank you
time. I was thinking about going to one of those Amsterdam ones, so maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah, I think Amsterdam would be good.
Yeah.
Good crowd in Amsterdam. Good audience. It will be good. So thank you so much for joining us, Oli. It's really been lovely finding out more about you and how you've been, how your relationships developed with Rob. I mean, we know what a kind person he is, so I can only imagine how lovely that experience was during that weird time. and obviously still is for you if you're still working with him. So look forward to more to come on the way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, very, very lovely to meet you guys.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Cheers, Oli.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Take care. Look after
Bye.
yourselves. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
When it came out, the official statement from rw.com read, "Lost is about the times in my life when I've abandoned myself to reckless behaviour. I hope you all love this track as much as I do. It means a lot to me." The album intro by Chris Heath states that this was written one November evening out of nowhere, long after the rest of this album had been completed.
Rob told Radio Monte Carlo, "I was sent this backing track with these chords on by Oli, and they made me very melancholy, and creatively I thought about my most melancholic time, and that was 1995 to 2001, where I was the most mentally ill, the most addicted, the saddest, and I wrote the lyric about that time. Fortunately, I'm not that guy anymore."
He explained to Ausberger Allgemein, "There is something very cathartic about mentally revisiting this lost place with the safety and security of a middle-aged man, and in that context being able to flush out more toxins that are still in my body from my past experiences and debauchery."
Dutch interviewer Eva Jinnick asked Rob who the you in this song is. Rob answered, "The world, me, there was lots of optimism and a naivety and being in love with the world and what the world could offer me and I could offer it. Then the reality of what the world did to me and what I allowed it to do to me and what I allowed it to become was devastating. Fortunately, there's a 4-hour documentary on Netflix coming up about what it did to me. It's a case study. It's a curse and a blessing, but existence is pain. Just because I had a naivety about what this golden future was going to be like, and it was the opposite, doesn't mean it's the golden future's fault."
Radio Monte Carlo asked him why he chose this song as the single. Rob replied, "I've got so many songs that are unreleased, maybe 80 or 90. I think we know it's more than that. I thought that this was the best way to wrap up the last 27 years because it kind of sounds like my song Feel. It has the same feel. This is just me saying goodbye to that. The new stuff that is coming out is going to be a departure from things that I've done in the past." Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, is it? Ooh. Is he talking about Lofthouse or everything else?
I don't know. Interesting quote though, I thought.
Yeah, very. Sometimes Rob just makes stuff up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Occasionally. So, right. Who would like to go first on Lost then?
Well, should we let Robbie go first?
Robbie.
Sure.
What do you think about this new song, Lost?
I did really like it. I suppose when he says that it reminds him of Feel, I guess that probably explains why it appealed to me so much right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful song. The arrangement, really, the way the music is really got to me. And I thought the lyrics were really great, beautiful lyrics, powerful lyrics, I guess I should say. It's, first listen, I loved it already, right? So it's certainly, to me, it's worthy of being on essentially a greatest hits to be added to that.
Yeah.
So, Lucy?
Yeah, I love this song. And I know loads of fans totally adore it as well, especially the lyrics. And one of our listeners, Ruben, who's coming up in a future episode, he shared on his Spotify Unwrapped that he had played this song 888 times.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's got to be the record. If anyone out there has played it more than that, please let us know, because that's pretty impressive. Well done, Ruben.
I'm probably not far behind, but
So my favourite bit is the bridge. I just can't get enough of that falsetto.
Oh, yeah.
But disappointingly, when he sings it live, he generally only sings one line instead of the two. But he did do both lines when he sung it in Hamburg. And also, I think, on Graham Norton, he may have done both lines.
I think he did.
But I just love the melody of the chorus and his vocals throughout the song. The lyrics are very deep, and it does make it easier to listen to, knowing that he's not in that place now. And I love the end where you can really focus on his voice. Who am I fooling? Well, I got a list. I disappoint them only to exist. All my friends say, don't give up yet, you must still get there. But I don't think so. Just incredibly sad song, sad lyrics, aren't they? And my main point is, we need it returned to the 25 set list.
Yes.
Come on, Rob. Put it back on the set list.
We'll have to start a campaign, I think. We need it back on that set list for next year. Robbie.
This year, because this is coming out in January.
We need it back on that set list for this year. Come on, Robbie. Yeah, so totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this. And I know I'm biased, but one night when Lucy went out, I listened to this song on repeat. And I must have listened to it on repeat about 50 times. She was out for a few hours.
Well, you don't have to wait for me to be out to do that.
No, but it was no. I think it's because I was downstairs in the house, and our house isn't like open plan as such. But you know, I was blasting it out really loud, and yeah, I listened to it about 50 times in a row. It sounds strange, but I just really, really love the song, and I don't know, I was just captivated by it. But it's sad, isn't it? Because, you know, there's anxiety in there, there's imposter syndrome, there's depression, you know, all of those things. And it really annoyed me because I saw a comment around about when it came out and someone said, oh no, Robbie, not another one of those songs, you know, write a happy song. And it's like, what are you even talking about? Do you know Robbie Williams?
Yeah.
You know, this is when he says it in concert, you know, I've got two types of songs. One where I'm just like fucking amazing and you just must worship me and love me. And the other one where I'm completely broken and depressed and, you know, and this is one of those.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's obviously a song that was waiting to be written or maybe already had been written. I don't know. But anyway, so I love the fact that there's a synth keyboard sound and then the song just starts immediately. So you hear this and then away go. There's no build up. I really like songs that just start. It's cool. It's a really good song.
Yeah. So an official video was suddenly released on the 4th of November, 3 months after the song came out.
Yeah.
It was directed by Alex Southam, an English director who's also done videos for Sam Ryder, Mumford and Sons, Laura Mvula, Craig David, John Grant and Tom Odell. What do you think of the video, Matt? The real, like, official video.
Well, I love the fact that Rob's playing the interviewer and he's, you know, it's obviously set. Do you think it's set in the 80s? Because it's all like old equipment,
70s
maybe
something.
70s. It's all old cameras and old TVs and old clothing and stuff. Although he looks kind of modern day, which is weird. But yeah, I like the interview in the video. It's really, really very clever how they've got all those clips of his most iconic moments, you know, music videos, concerts, including Glastonbury, Soccer Aid, the Brits, you know, it's all in there.
It's a clever way of highlighting his 25-year career, isn't it? With all the clips on the telly in between.
Very, very clever. And I like the way the show is called I Will Talk.
And Hollywood Will Listen.
Yeah. I must admit, I didn't notice that on the first few views of it and then saw that. Yeah.
It's good that he's the guest singer as well. It's like he plays 3 parts in this video. The interviewer, the interviewee and the guest singer. The bit at the start where he's looking into the mirror, having his makeup done.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent of the You Know Me video, you know, when he's looking into the mirror and then he turns into the bunny.
Oh, yes.
And the glasses. I love him with the glasses. Because you never see him wearing glasses like that.
No.
So it's. I've always wondered whether he actually
needs glasses
or whether he's had his eyes lasered so that he doesn't need them, or because it's just, you know.
Or he wears contacts. You don't know.
Yeah, it's just something I've never known.
Interesting. Well, we must make sure to ask him that. Rob, tell us a bit about your medical history. if we're ever stuck for questions, though, it's a question then.
Yeah. Also, I noticed how it's all sort of like a funny hue, bit blurry, the video. And then as it zooms in on the TV screen and suddenly the TV screen kind of hits our screen so that it's merged, suddenly it goes into HD from then on.
Clever touch. Yes.
It's quite clever.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it was in the days when you had TVs that were deeper than they were wide.
Yeah.
The back of the TV went on so far that, yeah. So what do you think about the video then, Rob?
It was like a really fun video, I thought. Like, it was cool to see Robbie play both the interviewer and the interviewee, I agree that it's a little strange that everything seems like it's in the 70s except for him. It's like modern day Robbie for some reason. But it was, good reasoning to put in the clips and everything for the greatest hits. And and it was like even the concert clips I definitely recognized. So those must be from like concerts that were released, like DVDs and that. But because that would be the only way I could find it. But it's a fun video.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was nice to have a proper video released as well.
The story fits the song. The song fits the story.
Yeah.
Sometimes the videos he does are abstract and kind of like not really much to do with the actual words, but he gets to makeup. And he's in the makeup chair.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It does follow the song.
Yeah. So let's go on to the final song on CD1, Nobody Someday.
Yeah, so it's not clear who orchestrated this in the CD credits, so we can't attribute anybody to this one, but well done whoever did it. But it was produced by Guy. We can only assume that Guy did it. I would imagine he did, actually, considering the backstory to this one. When asked by NME why this relatively obscure song was included, Rob replied, "It's a more worthy version of a Robbie Williams song." Asked to define worthy, he said, "It goes back to that school of thought that pop music is a lower art form. The Metropole Orchestra didn't actually play on this one." So what do we think about Nobody Someday?
Robbie?
So I had only, I know this song's kind of been out there. I haven't really heard it very much because the documentary, I have tried to get. I purchased it, but then it came and it was region blocked, so I couldn't watch it. Which I was surprised because I bought like the Robbie Williams show and I bought the live album DVD and those all worked here. So and they're selling it on the Canadian Amazon, so I assumed it would work. But it did not work. So I've seen some of the documentary and clips, so I have heard little bits, but it was nice to officially hear the song.
Yeah.
I do really like it. It was a nice surprise on the end to, when I bought the album to see it there on the end. And, it's just, with some of these artists, there's a song that you know about for so long. And here I never really heard it, right? So it's like I mentioned Oasis earlier. They had a greatest hits called Stop the Clocks, which was a song that, fans knew was written, but it didn't come out for years, even on that release. So this is one of those for me that it's nice to finally hear it, and I really loved it. So
yeah. Matt?
Well, it's super cool to hear this finally produced after all these years.
Yeah.
Maybe Robbie heard our request from one of our earlier episodes because we talked about this and loved this song. Mm-hmm. So it's super cool that it's been done properly. I do love the authenticity of the original one.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was recorded on really low tech. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was recorded on. It was just really like
on a camcorder or something almost.
Yeah. And they were sat on a balcony in where was it?
No, they're sat by a fish tank.
By a fish tank? Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Sat by a fish tank. Yeah, it's a really emotional, raw song, and I had a feeling it would find its place somewhere one day.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad it has. Good. I was wondering whether it's been redone so that it could be included in Better Man. Because obviously the last film featured this song and was very sort of poignant.
I think it might.
So maybe this new film will sort of relate back to that film a little bit. I don't know. It's possible. But I like how they've kept this version really simple, just like the demo.
Yeah.
And he sings it in the original key. It sounds incredible. It's just hauntingly beautiful, and the lyrics still resonate. I think the lyrics still resonate with him, and I think that's why he's included it. Boy, if I get much bigger, they'll stick a pin in me and I'll blow away. But I'll get richer while they take my picture, taking my soul away. I'm most pleased that we now have the missing line filled in. From the way I'm thinking, we'll both be sinking. I knew before we sailed away. You could have steered clear, though. And that's that missing line that he always mumbled before. And hit the tip of my ego. It's all you saw anyway. So I'm just pleased that we finally have that missing line.
Mm-hmm.
And the moody, low backing singers sound kind of ominous. You know, kind of going, but they like suit it perfectly because it's just of what the song's about. And also that those backing singers, they sound almost like a choir. It says it's Guy plus father and son, Andy and Chester Kane. So it's just those three guys. They're just sort of, those guys are two London sort of session singer type people, I think, or people that Guy knows. I'm not sure. But yeah, just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just pleased that we've got a proper version. It's
absolutely
unique. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to happen, didn't it? And I think it's a lovely, it's the beautiful song, and it's good. It's the right place to have it actually on this album. I mean, it would have gone on under the radar otherwise, wouldn't it? Probably.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
mainstream on here.
Yes, I'm much happier that it's on here, where it will, more people will hear it probably, and it'll get out there. So
yeah, it's nice.
Have you guys ever heard him sing it live or?
No, I don't think so.
No, really like to though.
Yeah, that would be
really good to hear that live. Because there's a certain rawness to it. Like when in the original, he sings it just with almost a croaky voice, isn't he? He's sort of just not trying too hard, but there's something nice about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day. So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at robbiewilliamsrewind.com. You can also email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's at RewindRobbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. Please check the website for more details. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So we've reached the end of the show.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to pick our favourite track from this episode. Mm-hmm. So put your thinking caps on.
Yeah.
In our usual tradition, Robbie, you are allowed to pick first.
All right. Well,
if you have one,
of course. Like I've probably made it painfully obvious during the episode, but I will definitely go with "No Regrets" as my favorite from the album. Yeah. My
outstanding
favorite song of his of all time. I love the rearrangement. I love like how they changed it. It's I wouldn't say it's an improvement, but it's certainly different enough that it'll be a version I'll go back to
Yeah.
So,
stands in its own right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. And Lucy, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I'll
Don't
go
mind.
next.
Okay, you go for it.
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that I will choose Lost. Because it is a new song and it is great and I love it, and we need that on the playlist.
Well, yes, I'm very happy with that because that's one of my choices too.
I know.
Because I often write mine on the notes and Lucy never writes hers on the notes. I never quite know. She sometimes tells me, but occasionally I don't know. Well, that makes it easy for me then.
Okay.
I have to pick Nobody Someday.
Very good.
That needs some airplay, that needs some limelight, so we're going to get it on the playlist along with the other two.
Yeah.
I just think it's brilliant. I mean, there's so many good songs. They're all greatest hits, aren't they? But this is a new one, well, an old new one
Yeah.
that deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my second choice would have been Rock DJ.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
My second choice would have been Millennium. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Even I think that is worthy of it, actually, which is weird for me to say.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, Robbie, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. It's cool to hear how you got into Rob and how many generations in your family are also listening to Rob as well.
Yes. I suppose my grandmother does like the swing albums too, so it's a few generations.
And do you have a date set for the wedding yet or not?
No. It's
okay.
just...
So you'll have to let us know when you do, and then when it happens, you'll have to let us know what you both decided to pick.
Yeah.
Which Robbie song you put into your mix.
Yeah.
All right, I will.
And then on our next episode, we have got Helen from France joining us to talk about the second half of 25 and the tour.
Yes, we complete 25.
Yeah.
What do we do after that?
Then let me entertain you. 25th
of course,
deluxe
25th anniversary.
edition.
Yeah. After that.
After that, who knows?
This is the point where Rewind comes to the present day. So we've got a lot more people and special guests lined up that we can talk to.
Yeah.
So more backstories to find out.
Cool. So thanks, Robbie.
Yeah, thank you,
nice
Robbie.
To speak
No problem.
to you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
And we'll hope we'll catch up on social media at some point.
Oh, of course. Now you guys
see you
know
soon.
my Instagram, so
We do.
yeah, reach out anytime.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks then. Bye.
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 Robbie Williams Rewind.